Welcome to the Power of Your Mind podcast. I'm Victoria Gallagher, your host. Have you been attempting to use law of attraction or hypnosis to attract financial abundance, a soulmate, or career success? Would you like to be happy, motivated, and successful? Have better health, enjoy more fulfilling relationships, overcome struggle, and gain mastery over your life? Then join me on this amazing self-help podcast where you'll unleash the power of your mind. I'll be sharing 20 years of wisdom and techniques of hypnotherapy, law of attraction, visualization, meditation, personal growth, positive affirmations, and other effective methods to help you tap into the great power which resides in your mind and become the best version of yourself. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Power of Your Mind podcast. You're listening to episode number 84. I'm Victoria Gallagher, Law of Attraction coach and #1 best-selling author of Practical Law of Attraction, Align Yourself with the Manifesting Conditions and Successfully Attract Your Desires. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, founder of HypTalk.com and HypnoCloud apps, so be sure to stop by HypTalk.com and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course. And while you're there, if you found us through the Power of Your Mind podcast, you can get 35% off your first order of hypnosis downloads when you apply the code podcast to your shopping cart. Also, be sure to download our latest HypnoCloud app from the iTunes store. So today I have a very special guest with me, Lydia Bogert. Lydia Bogert is a certified cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist specializing in women's sustainable weight management. She empowers and helps women achieve lasting mental and physical health naturally. Today, Lydia is going to share some of her insights about harnessing the power of your mind by eating intuitively without a diet. So welcome to the show, Lydia.
Hi, Victoria. How are you? So good to see you. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. It's so good to see you too. You're just like an old friend now. Now that we've hung out together, actually in 2 continents, we've been here. We originally met in Vegas at Hypno Thoughts, and then we saw each other.
I think we met in New York, didn't we?
Wait, you know what? It was in New York. Yeah. So it's still 2 continents. So, we've been so many places. Were you also in Canada before? Or
we've seen each other in 2 continents, but in 3 countries. We saw each other, yes, in the States twice, in Canada, and then in London recently.
Exactly. So yeah, we're becoming quickly becoming good friends. And so it's so good to see you again. And you are talking about a topic which is very near and dear to my heart because, I've come from a family with compulsive overeating habits, obesity, and addiction to sugar. It's, I've run the gamut myself with, going up and down in my weight. I finally, as you know, have it pretty well under control with my own philosophy. But you have a very interesting take on this, which I believe is really, like you say, sustainable and freeing to women who, and perhaps men as well, who feel, who feel imprisoned when they go on a diet. That horrible word, diet, which, as we both know, tends to probably put more weight on in the end than actually take it off and maintain it sustainably.
That's you just put it so well, so eloquently. And that is why statistically diets are 98% ineffective, is because statistically the research shows that when you go on what is considered to be a diet. Now, the funny thing about the word diet is that really what diet means is just what you eat. That's what a diet ultimately is.
The noun, yes, the noun of a diet. It's your intake of food.
Intake of food. But what's happened is that word over time has been misconstrued and has been shrouded in this sort of deprivation mentality, which is highly detrimental, this kind of polarizing and deprivation mentality. And so the reason why statistically diets are 98% ineffective is because they're not about sustainability and permanence. Mm-hmm. So, as you very well know, when somebody tries going on a diet, they're not listening to their bodies. They're following a very strict rubric or guideline that wasn't necessarily made for them. Now, it's not to say that all diets, are bad and that all plans are bad. Some of them are great and some of them do resonate with a lot of people. Like, for example, I know that you do keto and that works for you. And that's fine. But for a lot of people, they just are kind of doing this yo-yo dieting thing where they're just like, jumping on one train, jumping right off of it, and the weight comes right back on. Then jumping on another train, some of the weight comes off. They see the quick results. Yeah. And that's also one of the problems with diets, is that it's about that quick result. Yeah. And so they are very glamorous, right? Because people are like, I just want to get, I just want to lose 5 pounds or lose 10 pounds for an event.
Right.
And then they do that. And because they haven't shifted their mindset in addition to getting control of their food habits, because really that's ultimately what you've got to do in order for anything to work. Because they haven't done anything with their mindset, the weight then comes right back on afterwards.
Right.
And that can be, highly detrimental and very discouraging for an incredible number of people.
Absolutely. And, this, there's so many different directions I could go in here. But when you said glamorous and losing 5-10 pounds, it makes me think of, our famous people that, that probably contribute a lot to this, this fantasy of just being able to go on a diet and lose a quick 5 to 10 pounds. I mean, what are your thoughts about people, that are in the limelight and they talk about these diets like it's, everybody's doing it. You've got to do it. The pressure.
I think that's such a valid point, and this is one of the responsibilities that influencers have, is being incredibly cautious of what they're putting out there. So, we know that celebrity culture is massive, and, my specialization is working with women. Women are so easily influenced by female celebrities. They look at them and they think, oh my God, look at her. She looks so good. Look at Jennifer Aniston. Look at Gwyneth Paltrow. Look at any of these people. They look so gorgeous. What do they eat? What diet are they on? And, a lot of the time, the people will just kind of try and they'll just do whatever that celebrity or their idol does without actually taking the time to understand what that diet is about. Find out what feels good in their individual bodies, and also work on the mindset and the mentality, which is really the foundation of all of it, is the self-love thing. And whatever it is that you're eating it from that place of really, nourishing your mind and your soul and your body and loving yourself. So,
right.
Yeah, I think that is a really good point, and we have to be incredibly careful of, who we're following and what we're doing.
Absolutely. And so that makes me think of another question, to look at you. And the first time I ever saw you or met you, I'm thinking, oh my God, I mean, you have a fantastic figure. You have a body that most women, I think, would really, that it's an ideal body. I would definitely say. So, it begs the question, what does Lydia know about having to go on a diet? I mean, you're super thin. You look like you've always looked like that. Like, so what led you to this understanding?
It's a really good question. And I will disclose very personal information about myself because I think that by doing that, it helps other women. I've suffered a lot. I actually used to have an eating disorder. I used to have anorexia when I was in my 20s. And that was, I can't even describe like how debilitating that was for me. It took me a long time to recover, not just physically, but also mentally from that. And in the process of recovering, I gained a lot of weight. And it took a long time for my weight to then stabilize. And now I'm at a weight, and I don't ever talk about how much I weigh. I don't ever give numbers or statistics or anything like that about myself personally, because what's right for me, what feels good for me, is not what's going to be right or feel good for you or another woman or anyone. But yeah, I did suffer a lot. I used to, like a lot of women, beat myself up, speak incredibly negatively to myself, look at myself in the mirror. I also used to have, and still, if I'm honest with you, to some degree, I have something called body dysmorphia, except I'm very aware of what body dysmorphia is, and I have ways of dealing with it. And in a nutshell, for those of you who are not familiar with what is body dysmorphia, it's when people don't see themselves kind of in a realistic light, okay, kind of the way that somebody else would. They might, so for example, I might look at myself in the mirror and think that I look bigger than I actually am. And some people will have body dysmorphia where they'll see like that they think that their nose looks a particular way when in fact, objectively, it doesn't at all. So my point being, to answer your question, is that I have been through personally a lot of adversity when it comes to my own body image. And now I've come out on the other side. And one other point I want to make is that I also have 3 children, and I gained a lot of weight, which is fine, totally fine, as you know, my body clearly needed that with each of my pregnancies. But after my 3rd pregnancy, I had gained probably the most weight of all the pregnancies, and I was having a lot of trouble afterwards losing that weight. And it's not that I wanted to be skinny or particularly thin. I just wanted to feel comfortable again in my own body, right? And I wasn't treating myself well. I was eating way too much. This was way after the birth of my 3rd child. So there really, at that point, it was just becoming like almost like an addiction and a habit of eating too much and eating poorly and not really taking care of myself. And that is something that a lot of women, whether they have children or not, do. Women by nature tend almost to put themselves last on the list.
Yes.
Taking care, because we have this biological kind of an instinct to take care of others, whether it's our husband, our partner, our mother, our father, our children, and kind of like put ourselves last on the list. And so for me, that final hurdle was me actually saying, you know what? Yes, I have 3 kids, but I need to take care of me so that I can do all the things that I want to do in this life, take care of my children, work, etc., etc., etc. So I, at that time, and now my youngest is 4.5, so this happened about 4 years ago, that I went on this journey to sustainably and permanently lose the weight that was just not feeling good on my body. And for now about 3 years, it took me about a year to lose all that weight. And now it's been about 3 years that I've felt fantastic. I feel better than I have in my entire life. I feel like I have more energy. And so, you know, I've been through, over the course of my life, many different weight and body image hurdles. And I finally found what I believe to be, and this is what I help women with, a fantastic key and resource to losing whatever weight or just achieving a permanent, healthy, ideal weight for you, whatever that may be.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for really being vulnerable and sharing your story with us, because I think a lot of women, like I said, they would look at you, they would see you and they would think, oh, she doesn't have any, she couldn't possibly understand the struggle. And clearly you've been through that struggle. And so thank you for sharing. I think it's so important to not only be able to recognize what the keys are that you're going to share with us a little bit here, but just to also be able to empathize with the discomfort and the pain that people go through. And I also liked what you said about, it is about, you have to put yourself first. And I have found for myself, anytime I've ever been out of sync with my ideal body, it's always come from not putting myself first. Either I put my business first, or I put my husband first, or I put other things first. And that's only going to lead to getting in trouble. And like when I say putting my husband first, it's like, taking care of other people, in that people want to have drinks with you. They want to go out and have fun and celebrate, because that's how we've gotten to. Our society celebrates everything with food and beverage, right? Let's go have a drink to celebrate that. Let's go out to dinner to celebrate that. And week by week, it's easy to just celebrate a little bit too much and find yourself in an unhappy place where, boy, I kind of wish that maybe I didn't celebrate so much. Or taking care of your friends who invite you over for yummy food, and and being willing to turn that down, or at least be able to have some moderation with that. If you find value in this personal growth related material, I strongly recommend that you sign up for your $1 trial to my Personal Growth Club. Just head on over to personalgrowthclub.com and get a whole month of premium Personal Growth Club video training materials, meditations. You also get 6 free hypnosis sessions that are valued at over $174, all for this trial of just $1. Even if you cancel, you can keep the 6 hypnosis sessions. That's my gift to you, and that's how confident I am that you are going to love Personal Growth Club. Go to personalgrowthclub.com and start your $1 1-month trial today.
100%. I think that you just really hit the nail on the head. Is really ultimately we have to learn how to take back control and know how to say yes to what works for us, whether it's taking care of others, social engagements, food offers, whatever it may be, and say no to the things that are not working for us, and to stop sort of feeling that we need to live up to the expectations that either we put on ourselves, that society puts on us, that we project that others have of us, and to just start figuring out as women, like, what is it that we want? Mm-hmm. What is it that's good for us? And prioritizing our health should be absolutely paramount.
Yes. I need to wake my cat up. She's snoring, and I don't want that to pick up in.
Is she? It's so funny.
Actually, too, I'm going to shut my door real quick.
I saw it kind of open there, like a ghost door a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. We might cut that out. We might not. But wow. Well, so let's kind of get into, the whole empowerment of women. How do you go about, what is your process, or what is it, that you do to empower women?
Absolutely. So, I would say that all of the women who come to me feel on some level disempowered. And that's one of the reasons why they're overeating or they're just not treating themselves well, is because they've sort of forgotten on some level who they really are and what their true essence is, and how much intrinsic value they have. So I work a lot in a very bespoke way in my program with my clients to help them tap into their inner power, their intrinsic value, and their sense of self-worth. So I do a lot of affirmation work with my clients. I do a ton of work building up their self-confidence and their self-esteem and teaching them how to speak to themselves as if they are their own best friends. Now, the dialogue that I'm in with my clients over the course of the 3-month program eventually then transfers over and becomes a dialogue that they have with themselves. So whereas at the beginning of this lifelong journey, because ultimately it's not just a 3-month program, you work with me for 3 months, but you work with yourself for your entire life. And it doesn't ever stop. That's the difference. This isn't a diet, which, you're not on it for a set period of time. This is a way of talking to yourself, a way of treating yourself, a way of loving yourself, a way of eating for your entire life. So much the crux of the work that I do is getting into women's minds, into their brains, restructuring the way that they think, restructuring, getting rid of negative beliefs, negative self-talk, unproductive language, and replacing that with the stuff that's magical, the stuff of empowerment, the stuff of, self-love, the stuff of self-belief and knowledge that you're worth treating yourself well and eating well.
Yes, it's so true, because if you just go on a diet without working on the mental stuff that's going on, that has you going out and eating too much food and putting weight on your body, to me, I look at that like it's trying to change the reflection in the mirror by drawing on the mirror. And you need to do the inner work. You need to be able to change the reflection on the inside before that's going to be reflected on the outside. And the other thing is, you can go to a hypnotherapist and you can, spend an hour a week or however long with that person. But if you're feeling good for an hour in your hypnotherapy session, and then you go right back out into your real life, in your real world, and you start with the negative self-talk again, you're hypnotizing yourself again and again and again. And so it's so important and so crucial what you do, the work that you do with your clients, that you're helping them to restructure the way that they talk to themselves.
Yes, and it is, it's a very involved process, which is why I always make sure that all of my clients are 100% on board, because I have a protocol that they need to follow. But what I can tell them is that if they follow the protocol and they're willing and they're ready to make these changes, it works 100%. I've had with those clients a 100% success rate. And it's phenomenal to see women stepping into their power and saying, you know what? Actually, I had such, I do a lot of back and forth messaging with my clients. It's very involved. We work together very, very closely on a daily basis for 3 months. So I hear every single day from my clients what they're thinking.
That's amazing.
What they're feeling. I see what they eat every single day for 3 months. And it gets to a point where initially, of course, I give them the feedback. But by the end of it, they are able to talk to themselves and sort of assess what they're thinking, assess what they're feeling, and change those thoughts, shift those emotions from negative into positive. And so much of the reason why women binge, for example, and overeat is because they're just feeling badly about themselves. So even from the beginning of the process, beginning of the program, when women still may be overweight, not at their ideal weight, feeling uncomfortable, even in those moments, being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, you're beautiful, you're fantastic, even though, they're not where they want to be. And that is where that incredible pixie fairy dust magic happens, because when you can look at yourself and you know that you might not look how you would ideally like to look, but you still love yourself. And because of that, you decide from that moment forward that you're going to shift and you're going to eat what works for you. It makes you feel fantastic.
Absolutely. And it's so true with the self-acceptance. And, self-acceptance, it's not about saying, okay, well, I'm resigned to this body, but it's saying, look, I know that I'm working on myself. And at the same time, I like myself. I love myself. I can look at myself and I can accept what I see in the mirror is me right now. And even if it's not exactly where I want to be. And that's something I've had to struggle with myself. There have been times, and I really do believe that for me, just validating what you're saying here, that the weight actually started coming off when I was able to detach from that I needed to look like this in order to love myself and like what I see in the mirror. I would pick on myself. I would see my thighs in the mirror. I would see my little pooch in the mirror, whatever it was. And I would, just like make a face like, ugh, or whatever. And it's so easy to fall into that trap that if we look at our flaws, it's so easy to look at those flaws and just not like that. And once I kind of softened, I feel like softened up my attitude toward my body and gave myself a little room to be okay that this is not exactly my ideal appearance, but it is the appearance that I have right now in this present moment. And so I love myself even with this appearance that I have right now.
Yes.
It's so important. And you sound so, when you talk about this, your voice just crescendos, your volume, you sound like you really, really love and are so, so passionate about your program. What is it that makes you so passionate about it?
I just love, because first of all, again, I have gone through this process. So I know what it feels like to actually go from somebody who feels like crap about themselves to somebody who literally wakes up in the morning and come hell or high water, gets out of bed, looks at herself in the mirror and says, today is going to be a great day. I'm going to do what I need to do. And I'm going to forget about yesterday and we're just going to move forward. And I am so passionate about this because I really, really love women. I love women. I think that women are, and this is one of my mottos, like women are the pillars of the world. Without us, the entire world would crumble. Everything is weighing upon our shoulders. So I just absolutely take incredible joy in seeing women finally achieving their goals, slaying their goals, stepping into their power. And I see this day after day after day. I get messages. I wake up every morning to messages from clients saying, I never thought that I could eat this way. I never thought that I could feel this way. I feel like a different person. And really what I'm doing in essence is giving women back their lives. That's what I'm doing, just like a surgeon would go into someone's body and, maybe remove something that is, is harming them, whatever that may be, a cancerous growth, God forbid, or whatnot, an ulcer. I'm literally going into women's minds and I'm taking away a great pain from them. I'm taking away this horrible, I almost like to call it a parasite, these thoughts that we have, and they manifest in our bodies in a very real way. And so when I take that away from women, it gives them back that space and that freedom to actually be who they're truly meant to be.
That's beautiful. That is a really beautiful thing that you do. Now, I see you sitting in your office. You're in London, and you work with people in your office. But do you also work with people if, say, somebody here in the United States or wherever they're listening from? Do you work with people over the internet?
100%. I do 100%. So I have two different options. Obviously, a lot of women love to come in and do sessions with me. But the vast majority of my program is actually virtual. So
Mm-hmm.
my clients who are based in London, most of the program are working with me virtually. So I have clients in other countries. I have clients in Israel. I have clients in America. I have clients in Canada. And we do the sessions together, kind of like what we're doing right now. And you can see that you can have, actually, interestingly, people think, oh, could you do hypnosis on virtually? You can. And that's just one element of the program and of the sessions. But I do 100%. So if you're, wherever you are watching this from in the world, if you're interested in my program, I can definitely work with you. It doesn't matter where you are.
That's great. That's great to know. So let's dive in a little deeper into this thing that you call intuitive eating. What exactly does that mean to the average person?
Most people have no idea, and I think it's a very kind of like newfangled concept. It's very trendy nowadays. But I just want to make it very simple and just break it down. Basically, we are all born knowing how much to eat, when to eat. We're all born knowing when we're hungry and crying for our mother's breast milk, or what if we're bottle fed, and stopping when we're not overly full, but just simply satiated.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens with a lot of people, and unfortunately this happens to be the case for various reasons, in particular in Western society, I think due to an inundation of food choices and the commercialization of food and the fact that sugar is insidiously in everything. But somewhere along the way, we tend to kind of lose our paths. We kind of tend to lose that instinctive knowledge of, our natural hunger and satiety cues. And so what I do is I help women to re-tap back into what they were born with. So It's not like I'm giving them something new. What I'm doing is I'm taking away what really shouldn't be there anyway. And so much of it then becomes either an addiction to sugar or these thoughts. We start to have these kind of like almost like obsessive food thoughts. And so it's about taking away that food noise, understanding what that is, understanding that is not hunger. That's what I like to call food noise.
Food noise. I like that.
Yeah, like I'm talking about, like all those phrases and words and thoughts you have, like, oh, look at that Snickers bar. I'd like to have that. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
right. Yes, absolutely. And or sometimes people are just bored, or they want something exciting or in their mouth or whatever it is. And it's a craving for something else. It's not actual hunger. Hello, this is Victoria Gallagher. I hope you're enjoying listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast. As a way of thanking you for listening, I'd like to offer you a one-time discount of 35% off your first order at HypTalk.com. Just go to HypTalk.com and enter the code PODCAST in the discount code area in your cart, and you'll receive 35% off your first order. Thank you so much for listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast.
It's not actual hunger. And so when we kind of I help women to recalibrate their taste buds so that they can actually start to listen to their bodies, which is a huge part of what intuitive eating is just sort of taking a step back, relaxing a little bit, okay, and then observing. What is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm thinking? What are the emotions that I'm having? And starting to really play with that and understand when you are actually hungry.
And I would imagine it kind of goes both ways too, because I mean, for me, sometimes I just get so wrapped up in my work that I will sit here and I don't even notice that I am hungry. So I would imagine you also need to tap into knowing when you are hungry.
100%, right? And so that's a really good point that you made, because not all the clients who come to me actually are very overweight. In fact, I do also work with women who don't eat enough. And so really for them as well, interestingly, it's a very similar, if not almost identical process of really just, again, learning to listen to your body, your natural hunger cues and satiety cues, eating when you're hungry, staying hydrated throughout the day, eating the rainbow, eating foods that feel good in your body. So like when you do eat something, taking the time to eat, to be present with your food. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what the intuitive eating thing is ties in very closely with mindful eating. So right. Whether you call it intuitive or mindful eating, ultimately it's combining both. And really just respecting your body so that when you start to feel full, and a lot of women don't know what it feels like to be full. They feel like they have kind of a bottomless pit. And that's because they're eating all the wrong stuff, and they've been eating in a particular way for so long that they don't even know anymore. They're just like, I don't even know. Yeah, I'm just totally shut. They're just shoving the food in. They're depressed. They're overweight. They're lethargic. So it's just coming away from all of that and just taking a step back and saying, right, let's now clean the slate, start from scratch, and remember and tap back into what we all actually have inside of us, which is an internal nutritionist.
Absolutely. I love the internal nutritionist. And it is so true. You are helping somebody tap back into what we were naturally born with. This isn't, artificially implanting some suggestions to trick the mind to do something that it wasn't designed to do in the first place. Your mind and your body were designed to keep you in the healthiest possible state, and it knows what to do, but it's just been loaded up with all this crap that we have received through commercials and through celebrity diets and through our friends, our family, our parents who have told us to eat every morsel of food on our plate because there's starving children in the world. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, if I eat a few more peas here, that's going to help the problem.
Yeah, exactly. That'll solve world hunger. There, we eat all the peas on our plate. Right? Exactly. But I just love that you're totally on board with it. And it's exactly what I'm saying. It's just exactly.
I get you. I totally do. I get you. I love you. I support you. I just, I love. So tell me a little bit about some of the radical transformations that you have been seeing in your clients since you've been doing this program with them.
Yeah. So, you guys can all go and check out my website, herhealthylife.com. And I've got the first thing you'll see on my website are testimonials from my clients. And all of them say very similar things. They all are like, I just never thought I could feel this way. I never thought that I could eat this way. I feel so fantastic. I feel full of energy in life. And I've just worked with so many women, and I just love seeing each and every one of them find a weight that is right for them. See, because I don't like to, and I tell my clients not to weigh themselves. So a lot of women are a little bit confused initially. They're like, well, Lydia, what do you go by? How do you measure success if you're not measuring it based on numbers? And it's a simple answer. It's based on how you feel. It's based on, because you can be a little bit heavier and still feel fantastic in your body, right? And feel happy and vibrant and energetic and have incredible vigor in the gym, or you can be a little bit thinner and feel that. But it's ultimately with each client, it's about them, not me telling them, but them figuring out for themselves where they feel best. And so that's what I help each client do. So definitely go and check out the testimonials on my website. You can see what the women are saying, and they're all saying fantastic thing. So I'm just super excited about it, and I'm super excited to take this program and continue working. And I'm also now at the point where I'm taking my program online. I'm developing an online version of it, which should be out.
I love that. Yeah. And that'll help so many more people that, maybe just don't have the time or whatever resources
Exactly.
to get to work with you in private and in person. So that is wonderful. Well, this has really been eye-opening. I love your process. I love your story. I love the whole idea of intuitive eating. I'll just add to the mix, because I follow you a lot on Facebook and I see you photographing what you're eating, and it, really one of the cool things that when you work with Lydia's program, she's not going to deprive you from having the momentary pleasures, the things that that we've talked about and that diets have talked about you can never, ever, ever eat. And I love your philosophy on that you don't have to deprive yourself from having and enjoying an occasional piece of chocolate cake.
And that's a really good point. I'm really happy that you brought that up, actually, is because, so I am not a nutritionist, okay, or a dietitian, but I do know a lot about food.
Yeah.
However, I have some nutritional guidelines I give my clients. I'm working together with a nutritionist in developing my online program. But one thing I never do is tell people what to eat and what not to eat. Okay? Because again, it's very individual, and this is why diets don't work. It's not about you never having chocolate cake again or never having ice cream again. In fact, polarizing food, categorizing food like that tends to make people obsess more over it. So it's more about the idea of approaching food from, like, almost as if you can imagine that all food is neutral on the same playing field. And you can have whatever you like. You can have pizza, you can have candy, you can have chocolate, you can have steak, you can have whatever you like, salad. And it's about, from that place of abundance, knowing that it's all there, you can have it whenever you like, choosing what you really want to have and what works for you, and asking yourself. I have a series of questions I give to all of my clients to help them make the right food decision for them. And if that's having a piece of chocolate, great. But the worst thing you can do if you have a piece of chocolate is then to beat yourself up afterwards. So if you're going to have it fully, enjoy it. If you're going to have a salad, have it fully and enjoy it, and listen to how it feels in your body, and then decide whether you want to have it again.
Exactly. And I love that. And I love that your program allows for people to make these choices for themselves from a place of personal empowerment, and that you really are giving people their lives back and setting people straight on the road to creating their ideal bodies with themselves. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for being on the show. And for those of you who are listening here, these websites will be in the show notes, or you can just simply go to herhealthylife.com, or you can also follow Lydia on her Facebook page, which is Lydia Bogert, and the last name is spelled Bogert. So it's Lydia, Lydia Bogert on Facebook. So thank you so much once again for being on the show. It's so great having you. And it was also great just seeing you again, seeing your beautiful face.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Victoria, for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends. And once again, be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast if not already. We can be found as Hip Talk on all our social media accounts. So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course at hyptalk.com. Be sure to subscribe to the Power of Your Mind podcast, and you'll be instantly notified the moment the next podcast becomes available. Also, please be sure to leave a rating and a review to tell us how you're enjoying these episodes, and that way you're making a contribution toward others getting to share in this valuable information. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. You've been listening to the Power of Your Mind podcast, brought to you by HypTalk.com, Personal Growth Club, and HypnoCloud apps available at iTunes.